What's going on, people? Bless you all today, man. Thank you for tuning in again. We have a special guest with me today, man. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, man?
Yeah, my name is Damien Denmark, lifelong Texarkana resident, now a Kansas resident the past 5 years. Northeast Kansas, so Kansas City area, and I am in local government, economic development, and then I'm a consultant for economic development, working with small business owners in the state of Kansas.
Oh, yeah, so I'm glad of that. We gonna get right into it, man. I appreciate you coming on,
thank
man.
You for having me.
Oh, yeah, man. So, won't you give me like some backstory on kind of how you got into everything like that?
Yeah, so backstory. So moved to Kansas during the pandemic. So in August of 2020, I moved to a town called Liberal, Kansas. What brought me there was T-Mobile. And so I worked in the retail side of T-Mobile, a little bit of business development with T-Mobile. And so fortunately, during that time, I was laid off from T-Mobile. I tried to stay in retail a little bit. I was a district manager for Starbucks. And, I said that just wasn't my passion. I was given the opportunity to work for the city of Liberal in Seward County as a director of business development. So in that role, I oversaw business retention and expansion, so working with small business owners, minority business owners, looking at funding, providing funding through a group called Network Kansas, which is for minority-led business owners. I worked and working with your Fortune 500 companies, retail recruitment, as well as just every day of how can we help your business grow. And so love the passion of small business development. In 2023, I had the opportunity to move to Olathe, Kansas. Olathe is probably one of the fastest growing cities in the state of Kansas and the wealthiest county within the state of Kansas. Oh, you're probably wondering, where is Olathe? It's in the KC Metro, so it's a lot of where those Kansas City Royals players live, Kansas City Chiefs players live, and so I have the opportunity to work in economic development there, and then kind of what economic development is. So economic development essentially it plays a vital role in growth in our community. And so everyday perspective, whether it's planning, and when I say from a planning perspective, we look at, is my signage right? Do I have the right amount of light coming from my signage? Is my fence up to code? And then we look from a perspective of building codes. Is my building up to standards per safety and fire? Or, do I have enough bathrooms? And so there's a lot of factor in economic development. My specialty is kind of the recruitment side of things, the relationship building, as well as really seeking that funding and providing that resource to get them involved in the community, as well as being able to continue that growth spectrum. I will say in economic development, I know Dee's going to have quite a bit of questions for me. As a small business owner myself, I'm also a consultant, so I work with small business owners in the state of Kansas. I'll give you one project right now. I'm working with a franchisee in a small town in Kansas. That's about a $2.6 million project. And that's from buying the land, developing the land. That's from getting the incentives, which is called a CID and a property tax abatement. And that's, getting him approved to be a said franchisee, because there's an approval process and a finance process. And so that's some of the things that I do. I'm a Small Business Development Center certified business coach. So I'm actually certified within the state of Kansas to work with small business owners to help with their business plan, create their business plan, find them funding, work with banks and lenders within the state of Kansas to get them funded. And so that's kind of the fun side of small business. And again, before we begin, before he starts asking me questions, I want to give you this piece of information. I don't care what you get from this podcast today. I want you to understand this. Your network is your net worth. And I'll elaborate more onto that, but I want you to remember your network is your net worth. And so, let's kick it off. I know I've talked a lot.
Oh no, man! Hey, I'm definitely just sitting back and soaking it all in. So when it comes to business development, So when you want to open your own business, where do you start from? I know you said something about the funding and all of that. So how does it start when a person wants to open their own business?
Yeah. So typically for me, and I'll give you the government side and not the
Yeah,
private
for sure.
consulting
That's
side.
the most important
Yeah,
side.
right. So the government side is, one, are you serious, right? What's the investment piece look like? Do you have a business plan? Do you have the resources to make you successful? In the steps of excellence, I always say is doing the best you can with the resources you have. That is the steps to excellence. And so do you have a business plan? Do you have a model? What does this look like? Have you written down your business plan? And we look at that and we evaluate that even from a funding side. There are grants out there for minority-led businesses, whether you're male or female, African American, Hispanic. There are grants out there in the state of Arkansas and in the state of Texas. The biggest thing is asking for help and working and creating that business model of how are you going to make money? What is the goal for you in this business? I highly encourage you, if you're not in the business of making money, and if you are in the business of making money, but you want to make too much money, and it's not equating to your business plan, do not get in business, right? Being in business is not for the timid, it's not for the weak. And we look at that from a government perspective, especially when we're putting our name out there to endorse you to get this grant, to endorse you to get this loan, because there are programs out there that require endorsement by local government offices or economic development offices before they proceed. And so we look at that business plan model. We look at, when I say for the help side, I'm not just asking from the financial piece. I'm asking, how are you going to run your business? What does your business model look like? Do you have experience in said product or business that you're doing? Right? I think now since COVID, everyone has a side hustle, whether it's a t-shirt business or I make car freshies and they're wanting to expand. That's great. I love that. But how do you make money from said business? If you were to leave your job right now, and let's just say you make $60,000 a year, and you were to leave your job right now and put everything into your side hustle to make it a full-time hustle, are you ready to do that? And, that's some of the things that we look for. What are your sales been like? How do you plan to market? And that's one of the biggest things that I've seen in Texarkana from a government standpoint is we see all these restaurants, all these small boutiques and small business owners are closing their businesses. And then you look them up on Facebook, they haven't posted in a year. Right, and you look their website up and the domain is expired, and they're not engaging with their community, and they're not involved in their community. So we look at every aspect of how this business is going to be profitable and why they should be, whether in Texarkana, whether in Kansas, how they can make a lasting impact. And I think one of those things is advocacy. I'm a big fan of Chamber of Commerce. Texarkana has a wonderful Chamber of Commerce. The CEO is a former principal of mine. And so one of the things that people don't realize when it comes to the Chamber of Commerce, that they're here to advocate for your business. They're here to advertise for your business. Yeah, you pay $300 or $600 a year, but you can write off 80% of that on your taxes, and some people don't even know that. So 80% of that $300 or $600 can be written off on your taxes for the fall at the end of the year. And then you're able to join a network of other small business owners. You're able to have this chamber organization advocate for you. You're able to be a part of their events, maybe host an event for them to where you're getting other chamber leaders or the chamber members to come to your business. I know what I really love from Texarkana that I incorporated with one of my local chambers is the chamber bucks. We look at, small businesses that are part of the chamber, and they have chamber bucks, and they're able to take those bucks and shop in your business, right? So it's just a small amount of what collaboration and partnership really looks like, and that's what we see from an EDC perspective and from a government side is, are you building an ecosystem for you to be successful? And again, it's not just about because my cousin said my air freshener smelled really good and they buy them a lot. or it's because I was selling plates at the back door of my kitchen illegally, but everybody in the hood was paying for it, right? Because I'm going to be real with you. That's great and all, but no one gives a damn, right? Government doesn't care. Banks don't care. Lenders, anyone, no one cares, right? They want to know, can they take this risk on you? Whether you're selling food now to turn that into a kitchen or to a bakery, whether you're selling car fresheners now from your house and you're making them by hand so you can turn this into a business that's a storefront, and vice versa for clothing, whatever you want to be or whatever you want to sell. And so that's kind of what we look for in the business perspective. And then we get to the part, are you coachable? Because what I've learned in the last few years, even the people that pay me to consult, they're not coachable. Right? They don't listen. I'll give this, especially for black folks that I've worked with, even in small town Kansas, they're ignorant. Right? Ignorance is bliss in this case, because when someone's willing to give you a bag, someone's willing to invest, let's just say $45,000 into your business, and they don't even need your credit, your business plan is your credit, and you tell me, no, I really don't want to be able to give receipts, or I really don't want to be able to take debit cards, or I really don't want to open up a business checking account. You're not ready to take that next step of being a business owner, because those are the next steps in order to build that success, and we're giving you the tools. And so another thing I would say is, I know it's hard in our community, but we got to trust the government. I'm not saying open up your doors and give them all your information. I'm not saying you got to trust the police. I'm saying that you have to build that ecosystem to where it includes government or business-related organizations within the city of Texarkana to provide you the support, to provide you with the resources. A lot of people that are probably listening to this are probably like, you have no idea what you're talking about. And I can show you billable hours. I can show you invoices and projects that I've worked on. It's 100% true, right? If you, as a small business owner, as a serial entrepreneur, if you take the time to contact the chamber, contact the city. There's a Texas Small Business Development Center right here in Texarkana. There's an Arkansas Small Business Development Center within the Southwest Arkansas region. Those are funded by your tax dollars. Those services are free. Utilize them. Sometimes they're providing you with the space to do your work, to catch up on billables, to catch up, brainstorm. Sometimes they're providing you that space for free. Sometimes they're the ones that are going to get you the connection piece to local government to help you out with getting a permit, right? Most cities in the state of Kansas require either retailers or small business owners to obtain a business license. A lot of people, right, if I were to take a Rolodex for small business owners right now who operate out of their house, whether it's selling plates, air freshener, clothing, whatever, I guarantee you, one, they're not paying their taxes. Two, they're not getting a business permit, which I think costs like $30 a year, right? There's a steps and there's a checklist that you have to fill out yourself, whether you're opening up a building, whether you're starting your business from scratch and it's an e-commerce business. There's steps to excellence in order to build that business, and it all starts with you being coachable and you're willing to learn and going out and talking to people and kind of understanding what you really want to do next. I will say, just because you know what you want to do doesn't mean you're always ready to hear their answer. Because on the dark side of things, I've had people come in all excited in my office. I'm ready to start this business. I'm excited. Okay. And then we start getting down to the nitty gritty of the financing piece of you can't work your full-time job anymore and then do this full-time. Then to the piece where you have to get an EIN, then you have to get an LLC, and then you have to probably have a tax accountant. And so when you get to the nitty-gritty of things, people start to realize, well, maybe starting a small business right now isn't for me. And that's our goal as well. Our goal is to never tell you, hey, you're not ready. My goal is to make you understand you aren't ready. I'm not going to tell you, or no one in government should ever tell you, you aren't ready to start your business. They should provide you enough information and resources for you to indicate, maybe I'm not ready just yet because I haven't built that ecosystem around. And so that's really what we look for on the government side. It's really black and white. There are no color patterns in local government. Either you got it or you don't. Either you have the resources or you don't. But then you ask yourself, how do I get the resources? What does that look like? How do I collaborate and partner with people?
Wow. Man, you full of so much stuff, man. I'm just sitting here listening and soaking it all in. When it comes to starting a business, one of the main things that I see is that people are just looking at the monetary and the benefit sides of it. And everything you just explained, I have to agree that most don't even go to that extent with it. The paperwork and a lot of people just want to make money and then skip the governmental side of it. So going into what you said right there, the governmental side of it, this is just my opinion, is the reason why. One of the reasons the governmental side is important because is that what opens up the funding possibly for you to be able to because see I think based on what I've seen, most businesses are closing because the funding isn't there and a lot of people are coming out of their own pockets and eventually it catches up with them.
Yeah.
And they just have to stop, and they don't know about these programs or any of these things out there that could probably writing down the business plan, all these things that could give you a head start or keep you in the game long enough. So I guess what I'm saying is that one of the reasons why it's so important because it establishes a black and white background for you, the paperwork wise.
Yeah. So I would say, in that working with the government and establishing that connection, your resources and needs are met, right? Yeah. Typically, when you're working with planning and zoning, building codes, let's say if you're building a building, you're remodeling a building, you need to go talk to them. You need to get permits. You need to know the history on that building before you sign that lease or before you buy that property. And you kind of starting off with that relationship really works well because I can tell you this from a perspective, and I'm not naming any names in local government, but there are groups of people that get really pissed off if you start remodeling, if you start tearing down walls and putting up fences without getting permits. And so that not only pisses them off, but it makes your life a living hell because now they're going to slow walk the process. Right? And not every government is alike in this situation, but I've seen it with my own eyes that in some cases they will slow walk the process because they're very frustrated that you did all this work and now it's going to in turn a return make their job a lot harder. So in this case, I would say work with the government from the start. Say, hey, set a meeting with building or planning or give them a call. Hey, I'm looking at buying this land. Or I'm looking at rehabbing this building at this address. What can you tell me about it? They have to give you that information. What is it zoned as? Is it zoned commercial? Is it zoned residential? Is it C2 zoning? Is it zoned for office space? Understand what you're getting yourself into and what you're working towards in that goal. If you need a checklist of what you need to know when starting a small business, I can provide that. Please find me on Facebook, find me on LinkedIn, reach out. We'll get you a checklist. We'll look at things because another thing I'd like to point out, and you kind of mentioned it, when having that relationship, it's important because I think from the government side, when the government goes out to get money and get grants from the feds, they have to have letters of support from other taxing organizations. Like when cities go out and get funding to repair a street, or get funding to repair the airport. They received letters of support from either the county, from either highway patrol, or either other taxing entities. And so how this works in the small business world, when you're going out and getting grants and when you're going out and getting funding, how amazing do you think it is to have a letter of support from either city commissioner or the economic development office or the small business development center. Because although, let's say your credit's not there, but sometimes, not all the times, having that support letter when they take it to underwriting from financing or when they look at grant potentials for your business, oh, this person has worked with the Small Business Development Center of the state of Texas, or they have a consultant that they're working with and they're providing a letter of financial support saying, hey, they have taken the necessary steps to be successful in their career. Now, please don't take what I'm saying and thinking this is going to be easy. This is not a 2-month process, right? Finding a business plan, tweaking said business plan, getting feedback, working with these organizations are realistically probably going to take you probably about 6 months to a year. But as long as it takes to get you, to prepare you to be successful, that is the time frame you need. Never jump into a small business head first because someone told you that your product was good. Because not only do businesses fail because of lack of funding, they fail because of lack of preparation. And that can be a funding mechanism, that can be a marketing mechanism, that can be understanding their market and marketing mechanism. A lot of people think I can I can just post on Facebook and people are going to follow me. No, you got to go out, you got to run Facebook ads. You've got to join the chamber so you can get that free promotion. Well, it's not free, but you can get that promotion when they do a ribbon cutting, celebrating your success and opening up your business. You have to go out and say, hey, I want to get my business out there. And some of that takes on extending past a 9 to 5 to what you're probably used to or probably what your business is going to do. And then some of that is relying on people that are in your inner circle because, again, like I said earlier, your net worth is your network. And so you have to surround yourself with people that are going to tell you the truth, that are going to say, hey, your prices are really too high for the service you're offering. Right? Because I know sometimes we get so excited in the business, I'm going to charge $600 for this, but, I understand you want to make a profit, but they also don't know who you are. They don't know your business. They have no experience. So you're going to charge me $600 and I don't know if you're going to be good at this, right?
Right.
So you got to understand there's going to be a lot of give and take and sacrifices in this business as a small business owner. And from a government perspective, we totally understand that. There's going to be opportunities where you have to sacrifice more than what you intended to because when you started this small business, and I promise you, it's worth it in the long run because you're putting yourself in a situation to where you're building relationships, building connection, building community around your business. And I promise you, this doesn't just work with restaurants. This works with if you're running a consulting business. This works if you have a boutique. This works if you're selling plates and you want to convert that into a restaurant. Now, that takes a little more work to open up a restaurant, right? But there's a process and a foundation that you're building all by starting those conversations with the people that can bring those individuals to the table to help you succeed.
As you were saying that, it made me think, when Jack in the Box recently opened up on State Line, and they had like the school band out there, and I was thinking like, doing, and you were saying something about the ribbon cutting thing, like that actually brings more light onto the situation, and it made me think about it. It's like that's basically saying, hey, look, these people know, and they're showing you that they want this, and from a perspective of funding and government wise, that people are willing to take a chance on you more when they see, you have people involved. Yep. People know what's going on. So if we take a chance on you, there's most likely we can see a return from this.
100%. And, and I like that point of view. And I'd like to also add, although I don't live in Texarkana, I come here once a year for Christmas, but I still follow a lot of the Texarkana groups. And, for the entire time of Jack in the Box's opening, all I saw was people would love to support these franchises but never want to support small business owners. Yeah. Well, let me tell you something right now. If that is your mindset, when you're opening a business, do not open one. Your mindset needs to be, how can I improve? You need to stop worrying about what your neighbor or what your cousin or what your friend is doing down the street with their small business, and you need to focus on your small business. Stop letting people on Facebook get you riled up because they don't like your product. Stop letting people on Facebook get you riled up because, they're not local, so we can't support them. No, want me to tell you why? Because 9 times out of 10, that franchisee who owns and had to put millions of his or her own money into building that building, staffing that building, getting the permits, construction, and everything, they're local. And if they're not, they're employing local people. Do not let that negative mindset set you back from the potential growth that you have in your own business. In other words, stay in your lane. And for the people who get on Facebook and spread that hate, stay in your lane. Because sometimes when small businesses fail, it's not because of the lack of support, it's the lack of preparation. Sometimes small business owners aren't doing the right thing to take care of their customers, and other people will see value in other businesses, whether they're national chains or other small business owners that are alike, and utilize their services or go to their business more often than yours. So it's not about, you guys will always support chains, no one to support mom and pop. Sometimes mom and pop aren't doing the right thing. So then they need to look at their business and reevaluate what's working. Sometimes these same mom and pop restaurants are closing at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's not convenient for people who work early throughout the day and want to enjoy that place for dinner. We have to evaluate our business before we go out and trying to say all these negative things to tear down another business, whether it's a franchise or not, because those people are making an investment into your community, and it's a quality of life aspect. Right? Although I'm a firm believer that quality of life does not mean taxpayer money bringing in for taxes, right? Quality of life has been an aspect of why are people choosing to live in your community, right? So if you think about it now from a quality of life aspect for your business, why are people going to your business? Why is your restaurant different? Why is your boutique clothing different? Why is your trucking company different, right? As a small business owner, there can be 1,000 different trucking companies in town. Why am I coming to you? What makes you different? What's your niche? I was talking to D, before we started, I said he found his niche. How many podcast companies are in Texarkana that's doing it this way, that's having real unfiltered conversations that are educating people about what they need to be successful in the small business. What is it like to be a small business owner? And by the way, it's not fun. It's very stressful. Yeah. And I said it earlier, it's not for the timid. So if you think after this conversation that it's hard, trust me, you ain't seen nothing yet, Jack. It is super freaking hard, right? If it was so easy, everybody and their mama would be a small business owner and everybody would be a millionaire and learning how to keep the cycle going. So it's not easy. Just put that out there. But yes, and so even again on the Jack in the Box, sorry I got off track.
No.
It's from the community perspective. Okay, they joined the chamber. Let's just say they paid $1,000, right, to join the chamber. 80 or 90% tax deductible, right? Okay, they had Liberty ILO High School Band. Was it LE Band?
Yeah, I think it was.
So they had LE Band. Well, I don't have enough money. You don't know what could have happened. They could have probably fed those band students and said, hey, here's a free meal. Thank you for coming. They could have came because, hey, we want to get our name out there. We want to showcase our talent. And then they probably reached out to the news station. Local business supports local high school or local school district to bring said band out to my business on grand opening. It's all about playing the game. There's a game in small business that we seem to not understand, and the game is, how do I partner and collaborate with other individuals? From a marketing perspective, from my perspective, so I oversee sales, marketing, and communications for a butcher shop in western Kansas. I took that butcher shop from being known in this small town, Kansas, to now we're through the state of Kansas. We've received awards in agribusiness in the state of Kansas. The footprint of our online presence has grown. Our Facebook followers has grown over 3,000 since I took over this role and over a year ago or so. And so a lot of people don't understand it's how you collaborate. When a new business is coming to town, okay, great. How do I collaborate with that new business? Well, how does that work? Well, when they're having a grand opening, you reach out. Hey, you mind, not saying a restaurant, don't do that. But if you're a boutique and a new restaurant's open, hey, so-and-so, I'd love to be a part of your grand opening. We can collaborate on our social media. Yeah. I have a solid social media following. Yeah. In return, do you mind giving these 10% off coupons to every customer that shops? There you go. Business is boosting. That some people who go into that restaurant or seen that restaurant probably would have never known about your business. And now they know about your business. So it takes time to really understand that collaboration is key to being successful and being a serial entrepreneur or a small business owner. You got to get out that bubble that everyone's out to hurt you or that, no one's supporting you. Because if you fall into that mentality, it's a deep state of depression and it's a deep state of you closing your doors within the first 2 years. 90% of businesses fail because they lack the opportunity of going outside of their four walls to reach the community. They think just because my doors are open and I'm local, I'm from the town, that people are going to support you. No, that means you have to work even harder to get people who know you or don't know you to come support your business. And that means you got to suck it up, Buttercup, and you got to go out and be that person that educates people on why they should choose your business and they'll figure out if they want to support it or not support it.
Wow. Man, you said a mouthful. This right here is very educational. I was thinking as you was talking, that's actually what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I'm operating in collaboration right now. Because obviously, whatever I've been putting out caught your attention.
Yeah, 100%.
See what I'm saying? So it's like there's proof in the pudding, and just like you said, a lot of people look like, oh man, this took time in development. I actually got this studio, this actual building in May. That's when I got the building. So it's like now, you know what I'm saying? It's more people are being more engaged in it. But I got this studio in May, and it took me I did all of this. It just took time in development, like doing this, doing that. But I actually started doing, in my podcast, one of the biggest things about my podcast is awareness. Mm-hmm. So I started awareness years ago. But it just wasn't, I just never went to a professional point of view with it. I was just kind of hanging around doing it. It was getting little by little. But don't you know, since I would say about mid-November until now, I've got about 2,500 followers.
See? That's it, because you're providing a tool that people want to engage with, and then return, not putting your business out there, but Facebook say, hey, I like that traction, and now let me pay you.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're getting monetized. And so not only what you're charging billables for this space, but now you get monetized off that on social media because it's engaging. People want to be a part of it. It's collaboration. Sometimes that's going back and forth on social media. You got to find that right niche. If you're a small business owner, you need to be utilizing those Facebook groups to share in those Facebook groups. Bowie County Classifieds, there are thousands of people in those groups, and then share your Facebook posts in there. Now, I'm not saying share it to death or share posts every day, but if you got a weekly hot item, or if you're a restaurant, you got a lunch special for the week, post it in there. Make sure your flyers are engaging. Do not put a bunch of crap on your flyer. If you have to hire someone to do the marketing, find someone. There are services like Upwork.com, Fiverr.com, to where you can pay those freelancers some at $10 and tell them what you want on the flyer, and they'll create that flyer for you within 24 hours. And if you don't like it, they'll keep editing it until you find that perfect flyer. Now, I would say in my role, I use Adobe Photoshop, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of more on the professional side. I've been doing this for a couple of years. But start off with Canva. There's a free subscription with Canva. Like now, when you do that, don't just copy and paste every template you see, because Facebook algorithm doesn't like that. When it's the same template just with different words and you see 15 different businesses on there, you're not going to get a lot of engagement. So it's honestly understanding how Facebook algorithm works. It's boosting said ads and running advertisements on Facebook. And that's just finding something as well that catches that demographic that you're looking for. Right. If it's a soul food business, you're going to look at older, Caucasian, blacks, younger, whatever in that case to target, because older white people love soul food, right? Yeah. It's good for the soul, right? Yeah. If it's a boutique, you're going to attract the younger generation, and you're going to use detailed demographics, right? I'm dropping you this knowledge for free because this same information is what I'll charge someone $75 an hour to give and work with them, right? So what I'm telling you is, find that connection, find what works for your business, and then that's your starting point. Build a business model. I was talking to a niece of mine, and she's been in college for a long time, right? Yeah. She's marketing. She's about to graduate hopefully next year or in 2026. And, I said, okay, how many projects have you worked on? Well, I don't have time. Okay. Well, how many businesses have you just done free stuff for? I don't have time. So it amazes me that, we have all these ambitions, but we always say we don't have time. If we look at our school schedule, our work schedule, and our 8 hours a day we need for sleep, we find, as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, we find time within that week where we have our hours and say, this is a new skill I want to learn. From a small business owner, I want to learn Facebook. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to Google Facebook ads, how to do it. If you got to utilize ChatGPT or OpenAI, that's very helpful. If you say, hey, I don't know how to make a post, write me a Facebook post on something for the butcher shop. The goal is to keep people excited and informed that we're open today. I guarantee you'll get a series of Facebook posts, and you're able to probably tweak it a little bit because it's a computer, right? It has no emotion, but you're able to utilize that. Identifying those resources are key because it brings back full circle. When you have that business plan, you have every mechanism to really identify what your strong points are and what your weak points are. And you go to the Small Business Development Center and you work, or you start looking for grants and working with economic development offices. They're going to look at your plan and be like, okay, here we go. I like it. I have some questions on this. They have a rubrics. My office has my former office, we had a rubrics, a scoring sheet. Does this impact the quality of life for the residents of Seward County? Does this business plan make sense? What's their financing mechanism? Meaning, if we can't get you this $45,000 grant, are you going to move forward with your business? And some people say no, and that's immediately X for me, because you're relying on someone to give you a free handout. That tells me you aren't ready to open your business. You just want somebody to give you some money, and it's, although it might be free to you, but someone else put money into that bank account to give you said free money.
That makes absolutely sense, because see, if you're just depending on what we give you, then you're not taking it serious.
Exactly. Like, and a lot of people, I'm speaking to you black folks, right? A lot of people, we just look for a handout. I'm telling you now, and I hate to get a little racial, but white people ain't looking to give out a handout. They're looking to give it a hand up. And so, my favorite motto is from United Way, Mark Bledsoe, who's the CEO. United Way is all about giving a hand up and not a handout to the people in the community. Wow. The government is not giving you a handout. They're giving you a hand up. It's up to you to say, okay, this is what I got to do to make sure I'm taking care of the business because they're giving me this money. And no lender, no grant administrator, no program's ever going to say, okay, we're going to give you this money. We're going to give you this, just say $45,000. We know that if you burn through it, you're going to stop your business, but we're going to give it to you anyway because you're black. Or we're going to give it to you anyway because you're a woman. Nobody's going to do that.
That's interesting, because I was thinking as you were saying that, even when you put gas in your car, you're putting the gas in there not to just ride around. You're putting gas in your car to get you to the job, to make the money to put more gas in.
Exactly. It's a revolving ecosystem.
Yeah.
And let me also spit game to you on your finances, right? And let me spit game to you on your insurance. If you're opening up a restaurant, even if you have an LLC and you have a business, you need to be protected. Well, what do you mean? Well, if you can be sued for your product, meaning, let's just say you have a product that you're calling something, but somebody else in Florida has that same product. Y'all just came up with the same idea. You might not have known that product existed, and it might be a completely different name. They will sue you, and they will win. But who is going to be liable for that? Your LLC or you? So you need to look at business insurance when you're opening up a business. If you're opening up a restaurant, you need to look at property, casual, employee insurance, workers' comp insurance. You need to be looking at ways of how you protect yourself and your LLC. I know there's certain laws in Texas, and I'm not going to go into detail because I don't want to tell that secret, that has helped our company, one of my companies, not to get sued. Because that LP in the state of Texas owns 1% of dividends for my company. So in that 1% of dividends, that's how much money they're getting out of that, is that 1%. And so let's just say, this is not the total amount, I'm just giving you a high number. Let's just say they sued me for $1 million. Well, they're only getting 1% of dividend. So however long it takes me to get that $1 million, that's how long it's going to take you to get paid, right? And so you need to protect yourself, and that goes from getting an accountant or going online to whether it's LegalZoom when you start your business. There are organizations that can start your business a lot cheaper than what people are charging. I was looking at a tax consultant, so I do a lot of nonprofit work. I've formed quite a bit of nonprofits in Liberal, Kansas. I sat on a nonprofit hospital for southwestern Kansas. I work a lot with the school district and the foundation. And what I've seen is, a lot of these businesses that work with these nonprofits don't understand the advantages of working with nonprofits. You give a product, you give money away, that's tax deductible. Right? You donate money to you donate products for their lunch if you're a restaurant. That's tax deductible. Take advantage of those opportunities. Don't just be like, oh, you're not supporting my business if you want me to give away something for free. Bro, if they like your product, they're going to tell people. If it's a chamber event and you gave free coffee and donuts because you have a coffee or donut shop, and everybody's like, oh, my goodness, this is the best coffee I've ever had. Well, there's going to be a little placard with your business name on there, and you'll be at that event, and you're building that funnel. You're building that connection. So don't think just because people want something from you that it's a long game for them to just take from you. Now, you have to be vigilant. You have to do your own due diligence and understand what you're getting yourself into. But that comes with the piece of being a small business owner is making that sacrifice.
Wow. Man. You got me really thinking on a lot of this stuff, too. Like, wow. I didn't even realize that I've been doing a lot of this, what you're speaking on.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it, and it makes sense. And looking at the whole process, I see now how the development is taking its steps. Because when it all boils down to it, it's like anytime you're looking for a hand up, like you said, they're going to be like, okay, we have this, but why should we do it?
Exactly. And it's a process.
Yeah.
Right? How many people do you think out there in the same boat, right now want to start their business and they're a little more prepared than you? Well, it's because they come from this background. It's not just because of that. It's because they're actually doing the due diligence to prepare themselves to be successful. Stop thinking it's a white person's game or a woman's game or a male's game. You know, it's a game regardless. You have to learn how to play said game to your advantage. Stop thinking just because you're black, you won't qualify for things. Matter of fact, since COVID, just because you are black, you will qualify for things, right? And then women, listen up. Like, there are certifications that your business can get that label you to stand out, right? And I think from a government contracting standpoint. So, again, not mentioning any cities, right? We went through an RFP process for a project. And this woman was a certified woman in business through the Small Business Development Center. She was a certified business coach. Yeah. She had this amount of experience. Her proposal was well put together. And we selected this woman. She was more money, right? But why? She had the necessary credentials to make things happen. She got certifications. She's a certified woman in small business. Like, that's a huge, because that means you're doing your shit. You're doing your due diligence to make it known that, hey, I'm not just here with an LLC. I'm here with an LLC making an impact in my business and what I'm doing. Work on those certifications. They might cost you time and money, but you're going to lose even more time and money if you don't work towards that goal. Where you say, what about white? What about whites? What about black males? What about Hispanics? Same thing. There are opportunities out there. You just have to go find them. I can't give you every resource for Texas and Arkansas because I'm primarily based in Kansas. Every consultant job I've had has been in Kansas, from northeast to southwest and far in between. But I can tell you, Arkansas is similar to Kansas. High taxes, a ton of minorities within the state, and a ton of opportunity. Texarkana, just like liberal Kansas, is uncharted territory for certain things. Uncharted territory for podcast setup. Selling that uncharted territory for us having a solid marketing company that understands the basic needs of what a minority company wants. Not a predominantly white company that has their certain demographics, but a minority company, what they want. And so Texarkana, if I were to move back, I would start a marketing company.
That's basically what this is.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, this is another way, like, okay, with awareness, this is another way to advertise.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, you know, what I'm saying in this, I want you to understand, right? You will have sacrifices. A lot of you know that.
It was another thing you said I want to dip in on real quick. Because a lot of people feel like they're doing all this work, they're doing all this, and they're not seeing a profit or a benefit. But in the reality, based upon what we were talking about, you are actually seeing it because that development, you never know who.
100%.
Yeah, and there's people that see you being involved with, people are knowing you. That's another way of paying yourself in the long run.
Yeah, you never know who's watching, right? I have a friend in Garden City, Kansas, that's been in business for a while. He owns a software company. You know, started off as a couple jobs here, a couple jobs there. And, you know, he grew into a multi-million-dollar business, and then he sold to $1 billion business. It's not because he was doing a terrible job. He thought he was doing an okay job, but it's because he was doing the things that made him successful and that made billion-dollar companies look at him. I want the market he's in. Either I can buy him or I can destroy him. And I'm glad he took the buyout option because now he's living somewhere in a fancy house on 52 acres in Kansas, right? And so what I'm telling you is not everybody's dream is going to be the same when it comes to reality. What I'm telling you is if you don't make money right away, it's okay. You have to keep pushing because sometime when you're opening a business, you have to learn to check and adjust, right? Well, what about if I own a restaurant? You got to find out what's selling on your menu and what's not. Well, what if I own a boutique? You got to realize, okay, it's not what I like to make, It's what my customers are willing to buy. Right. And I tell you right now, that is the biggest heartache I have. Because restaurants, specifically mom and pops, specifically black-owned restaurants, we will serve everything that we love. And I love that mentality. I love it. But then you got to ask yourself, are people going to love that shit, and are they going to buy it? Because if they're not buying it, why do you have it on the menu? Oh, it's because I like it. Well, you got to get your bills paid by other people coming to support you.
That's true.
Right? If that was the case, you could have just worked a 9 to 5 and cooked in your own damn kitchen at home Monday through Friday or Sunday through Saturday. And so being able to say, okay, maybe this isn't the route I need to take. I need to check and adjust to say, okay, this is the product I need to offer, because my customers tend to love that.
Yeah.
And another thing, and I didn't talk on this because this is a real touchy subject, is feedback.
Yes.
We don't like feedback.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I don't like feedback because I'm being honest, right? In my development, working in the retail world, even now working in government,
you want to be told you're right
all the time.
It's good,
like especially when I put my soul in it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I create, and which is common. I've coached Black people, African American, Hispanic, whites, common amongst everyone, because no one likes to be told when they're wrong. You develop the fight or flight response. Right? And so as a small business owner, that hurts a lot different when you're working a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
Because if you develop a fight or flight response when someone's jeering your business on Texarkana, cheers and jeers, or someone leaves a terrible Google review and all you want to do is go back and forth and then diss that customer, right? That's a fight or flight response. And that can sometimes do you good. But to other people who might be the ones that's spending money at your business, I don't want to see that ghetto bullcrap. Why would I want to go there, right? So what I'm saying is, if someone does you injustice to your business, your response needs to be simple. I apologize for the mistake. Thank you for the feedback. And then if it's legit feedback, if it's a legit complaint, you need to figure out how you move past that, right? What do you need to do different? Because feedback is important for every small business owner. And I'm going to give you an example. I got a buddy in Liberal who owns a marketing company, right? The way he does business is not consistent to what he should do business, right? And so this one client, a real good friend of mine that I put him on, and they're not satisfied with him. Oh. They don't like it. He's not doing what they told him to do. Like, it's just, they're not satisfied. And so at the end of the contract, because they paid up front, at the end of the contract, they're going to tell them, hey, we don't want your business anymore. We're done. We'll just do it ourselves. Wow. And so when I talked to my friend, I'm like, how is that fair? She's like, what do you mean? It's like, you're a small business owner yourself. If you're not doing your job, wouldn't you want the client to tell you, hey, this is what I want? Well, yeah. Well, why aren't you doing that to him? Because he doesn't know how to handle it, and I don't want to tell him that. Right. If this is your money and you rely on paying your bills, you need to be able to accept feedback. And I don't care if you work a 9 to 5 or not. Like, I don't care if this is your personal life, this is your professional life, if you're a small business owner or you work at a fast food restaurant. If you cannot accept feedback and all you do is fight, and they know that, and they don't even want to waste their time telling you that, stop. Reevaluate yourself. And I'm talking to myself on that, too, because we struggle.
Me, too.
We all struggle, right? No one's perfect. I learned a lot. You know, I would say if it wasn't for God putting me in Kansas, I don't know where I would be, because I definitely wouldn't be where I am right now.
Yeah.
Right? I would 4 years ago, I would never say Damien would be in local government. Damien would be a consultant working with small business owners. And Damien would be able to come to Texarkana and say, hey, look at me. Look what I'm doing. Like, I promise you, I could not have said that.
Yeah, I'm congratulations. I'm proud of you. I'm glad. And as I can see just with your feedback, man, you really been putting in some work. I mean, you really been dotting the I's, and I mean, you really been really looking into this, and I mean, you really educating me, and I didn't even, just based on a lot of stuff you said, I didn't even realize that I was I've been doing a lot of these things without even noticing.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. I definitely appreciate you for stopping by, man, and educating, bringing awareness to all these things we need to know. Definitely, because this is the ultimate goal thing. When we get out, when we work, this is what most of us say.
100%. Yeah.
This is what most of us say. I'm gonna start my own business. I'm gonna do this. I'm doing that. But one of the biggest things I learned in starting business, I thought, okay, soon as I do this, my results gonna be immediate. I didn't think of none of the downfall stuff.
The roadblocks.
Yeah, the
right?
roadblock. And then when you start business, it seems like your plan, it never goes according to what you thought. I mean, you can write it out, and it's like it goes a totally different direction. And I like what you just talked about with the feedback. That is so important, and you broke it down in a way that really helps us understand. Like, because some people can't really take it. They want to be like, look, I'm good, I'm right, you're wrong.
Exactly.
But you have to remember something. Who's paying?
Because if you rude, like the food ain't got to be that good for me to come back, right? Your customer service got to be on point as well, right?
Exactly. And
it has to be
what?
a round table.
One prime example. I was in the Waffle House one time in Little Rock. I was up there just taking a vacation, and there was one close to the hotel I was staying with. So I went in there to eat. And I'm not gonna lie. There was this white guy in there. He was cooking. He could not cook. He could not cook at all. He wasn't cooking the food right. I mean, like it wasn't done. He wasn't cooking it long enough. But man, he was really trying though. I looked and saw he was really getting at it. They were shorthanded, and he was making everybody's orders. He was really trying, and I mean, I could tell that he was diligently trying his hardest, and that's what I admired.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it wasn't necessarily the quality of what he made. It's just I saw that like he had a good attitude, and he was really trying, and I tipped him just based off that alone.
Yeah.
Not because he gave me good quality food, but I saw his attitude and his effort towards what he was doing, and so. That goes back on one of those things. So there are many in businesses. It may not always be the product of what you're doing, but people look at you.
100%.
They watch you, and then they be like, you know what? Maybe what I had, the product wasn't as good, but them as a person, the customer service. That's something that I really like, and that brings them back.
100%. And, speak on that. Like, customer service is important.
Yes.
I love certain black businesses when I come into town. I don't get a lot of that good eating, in Northeast Kansas or when I stay in Southwest Kansas. But it's a disappointment when I go to your business and you're closed, and then I look online, you're open. And when I look on Facebook, you're open. And then I look 2 weeks before, no one supported my business. Like, you have to provide that level of service and expectation. When you're open, you need to be open. Well, I'm not getting any business that day. Okay, adjust your hours accordingly, but communicate that. No one's going to know your business unless you tell them. And so, and I'll recap with this because I know we're a little bit short on time.
Yeah.
But here's a few things I want to recap, right? One is build connections, build those resources, ask for help.
Yeah.
Right? 2 is find peace and joy in what you're doing. And then ask yourself, how do I turn this into a full-time job to make money? Right? The third thing is be open and honest with yourself and the people you do business with. And the last thing is, when it comes to marketing, just making a Facebook post isn't marketing. Spending thousands of dollars on radio ads isn't marketing. If you ever have questions, I'll put my phone number, 903-490-8515. If you want that checklist, text me. If you find me on Facebook, shoot me a DM. If you're on LinkedIn, which I highly encourage everyone to join a LinkedIn for their professional career, especially if they're a serial entrepreneur that are investing and advocating and adapting to new challenges and owning a business. Find me on LinkedIn. I'm here to provide a resource. I'll give you that checklist. I'll give you some of the resources to be successful. As what I said earlier, the steps to excellence is doing the best you can with the resources you have. And so I'll be able to really try to help you, give you the resource, find the nearest EDC office to look for those grants for you and to really just help you succeed.
All right, man. And again, man, I definitely appreciate
My
you
pleasure,
stopping
yeah.
by, man. Mr. Denmark, I will have him tagged on Facebook. Like he said, he gave his information to reach out to help any of you that are interested in this. And I might even be reaching out to you myself, man, because I mean, you really dropped some good stuff here, and this will really educate and bring awareness. And I thank you again for stopping by the Popcorn Podcast Show, man. And we're going to be looking to do some more, man.
Let's go. We can do it.
So, all right, y'all. And I'll have him tagged. And you can look him up on Facebook and all of that. And we will continue to try to keep you posted with more content. You got anything else you want to say?
Yeah, you know what? Last thing I want to say is, find people and backgrounds that will help you. Right? I'm your government person. Find a banker and understand what it means to be bankable, what things need to be off your credit to get a loan, right? Don't rely on the grants. Find an insurance person. Find out what insurance you need, right? That doesn't mean use that insurance person. Find one to understand what you need for your business, whether it's property, workers' comp, all that. Find one so you can understand what's needed to feel protected every day you go home. So find a banker, find someone in government, find an insurance person, and then find someone that's probably not family that's willing to hold you accountable and be your mentor to tell you when you're doing wrong, because you need to know when you're doing wrong and you need to know when you're doing right. So find someone, find those couple friends. I promise you, when you find those friends or find those mentors, you'll understand the things that you need. The biggest thing is bankable, because a lot of black people right now, African Americans, minorities, aren't bankable. And we need to understand why and realize what it means to be bankable. Because a lot of businesses, like if you own a restaurant, when you're doing all these custom ordering from Cisco or PFG, a lot of that's revolving credit. And a lot of that is a credit line. And so they got to be able to know, if they bring you all this food and supplies, are you going to be able to pay them back the following month? So learn what it means to be bankable, from getting a loan to getting a line of credit from a bank. Learn that aspect and learn the insurance aspect. And again, if you have questions, just reach out to me.
All right. And we thank you for stopping by the Popcorn Podcast Show. And we will see you all later.